Communication has shaped our past and present. Improvements in how humans convey information has had the power to lock doors in history, but when shared was the key to opening new doors around the world. This duality is exemplified in the role communication played during imperialism. Initial advancements in communication technology opened the doors for European colonizers to control territories around the globe. However, the spread of communication technology to local populations was a defining characteristic of those nations' independence movements. An example can be seen in the story of the British Raj and the events that differentiated the crushed Sepoy Rebellion of 1857 from the ultimately successful Indian independence movements of the early 20th century. There is a rebellion happening here in Meru. Sepoys, our soldiers, are opposing the British East India Company in the army. I'm a wife of a local landowner, but I heard it from my Sodari. She heard it directly from a soldier. The rumor is those soldiers found out that the weapons they have come in contact with, grease from the sacred cow. How can they even think to be so sinful? Pitaji isn't surprised. We've already endured so many insults. The problem is that there is not a lot of support. The mutiny was very spontaneous, with Mangal Pandey just fighting at his officers. Now they're establishing Raja Zufur as the emperor of all Hindustan. I think it's a last resort. Many years back, the company's governor-general made the doctrine of lapse. All places where the king and queen don't have sons will be taken by the company. Pitaji said the company thinks they're doing us a favor by imposing their ideals. As if sending away our queen and her adopted son is a favor. It would be very good if the sepoys succeed. But how are the rumors even supposed to spread before the company stops them? The Sepoy Rebellion of 1857 began as a mutiny in a small town north of present-day Delhi, which soon spread to mutinies and rebellions taking place throughout eastern and central India. Seen as a release of years of tension, it was eye-opening for the East India Company and brought upon many changes. Ah, do you hear that? It is the sound of progress in this land of Hindustan. Ever since I, Lord Dalhousie, was appointed Governor-General of India in 1848, I have been working hard to expand the telegraph lines. Postage systems, government departments, yes, I've brought over the intellectual revolution. Thankfully, these implementations saved the land. The news of that Sepoy revolt was quickly dispatched from Delhi to Punjab. We were able to control the region and those upstarts who favored the subdued Mughal ruler. With the communication technology, we signaled troops from various regions to assist, and with transportation through railways, we crushed the revolt. It is widely said that never since its discovery has the electric telegraph played so important and daring a role as it does now in India. Without it, we would have lost the effect of half of our British force. And now we expand the telegraph service throughout our colonies. Oh yes, after that mutiny, the East India Company was dissolved, and India became an official colony with direct crown rule. With Queen Victoria's foresight, our responsible rule, and the expansion of communication technology, the jewel of the empire will surely live long. The presence of the newly added British telegraph lines connected various regions and played a major role in allowing the rebellions of 1857 to be effectively dealt with by the British. Communication technology was quickly spread, not only for business, but also political well-being. The colonizer utilized communication as their key to maintaining control. New routes for transportation, shortened commute lines, and intercontinental communication lines strengthened ties with the motherland. Yet, this increase in connections led to trouble for Great Britain by the end of the century. The partition of Bengal in 1905 by the British Raj initiated a new movement of boycotting British goods. Subsequent conflicts followed as the local people's voices grew louder. Meanwhile, the world was facing the repercussions of revolutionary events through the end of World War II. In India, after the failure of the Quit India movement, launched during World War II, it seemed that things would remain in favor of British rule from the outside. Yet tensions continued escalating within. In 1947, India finally gained independence. It was a bittersweet occasion, as the colony was partitioned into two countries. How did the jewel of the empire slip between our fingers? The early 20th century was a time of revolutionary events, and it seems the traditional European powers diminished. There were many revolutions in the past, but the Japanese victory over the Russians back in 1905 led to this growing consensus in these peoples that Western rule in Asia was slowly ending. But how did this consensus even arise in a land as vast as India? Laws like the Indian Press Law and the Newspaper Act were implemented to curtail the freedom of the press and the Swadeshi boycott movement. It pains me so. The jewel of the empire was the most valuable asset, giving our citizens commodities, and especially during the world wars, providing raw materials and additional troops to fortify our allied forces. We even tightened the controls of news going in and out of India during the war and afterwards. But all throughout, sentiments favored this growing nationalism of the previously highly divergent subcontinent. The independence of India from colonial rule can be attributed to a variety of factors, all valid as the manifestation of centuries of exploitation by European nations. But one of them was the very communication technology that allowed the East India Company to crush the Sepoy Rebellion and begin the British Raj in the first place. What a good time it is to be a freedom fighter and an editor. As the British expanded telegraph lines, they thought it allowed their government buildings to communicate. But it was more profitable to open up to the people, and with the low cost of telegraphs and newspapers, the news of every rebellion and boycott easily spread throughout the region, unlike back in 1857. Even news from South Africa to reform the restricted rights of Indian laborers and Gandhiji reached here. We thought our soldiers' service in the world wars would lead to autonomy and political representation, but only strict communication censor came, and even more riots. Though the Press Law and the Newspaper Act closed many publications, our Hindustan persevered. The usage of technology spread ideas like nothing before, with families sharing with all their friends. My forefathers silently agreed with whatever they were told, but now we can read for ourselves, with regional connections growing stronger than they've ever been before. I know what happened in Delhi, and they know what happened here. We played this game with the British. Some printed pamphlets, papers, and sent traveling messages. Others stopped telegrams from going back to the government. They censored us, so we disrupted the government's supply of communication. Posters, flyers, secret couriers, we fully employed the power of mass communication. Certainly, with the help of foreign governments to push British decolonization, is a great addition. All thanks to the communication infrastructure the British themselves established here. The strategic use of communication technology during the years leading up to 1947 touched the hearts of many around the world, giving Indian nationalists the sentiment needed to gain independence through nonviolent means. Technological advancements, including the telegraph, telephone, along with other modes of dispersing information, allowed the distinct regions of India to join forces, develop a national identity, and gain their independence from their colonizers. The people of India used communication to open the lock of imperialism. The story of the British Raj reveals this lesson that has an amplified impact in today's globalizing world. Communication technology can be utilized by authority figures to aid their governance, while the masses of people can harness its power to promote their own causes. Take the Great Firewall of China and internet censorship system currently in use, and the continued efforts of Hong Kong protesters. Back in 2011, images of violence in the Republic of Tunisia were shared on the internet and led to a series of pro-democracy rebellions in many Middle Eastern countries and became known as the Arab Spring. Just a few months ago, videos of violence and injustices amplified the Black Lives Matter movement. These events highlight how social media, our latest communication technology, in the hands of the public can catalyze revolutions. As resources of communicating are ever increasing, understanding the duality of communication and its role in our past is a necessity. Thank you.